Hey everyone, welcome to 6.3, which is ellipses. We're going to be talking about this next conic section, and here's the definition. The definition of an ellipse. An ellipse is the set of all points x, y, the sum of whose distances is two distinct fixed points, or called foci, is constant. Notice how foci is actually the plural version of focus. We don't just have one focus now, we've got two. So here's kind of what it looks like. I have a very rudimentary, two screws, and some string. I actually use speaker wire because it doesn't expand. And the sum, when we said the definition, the sum of the distances is actually going to be this string, because no matter where I go, this string is going to be the same length. Okay, so if I take this and I just go around, I get this way, and I made it a little bit too large so it actually goes off my substrate, my piece of wood. And if I go on the other side, it'll go up here, and we have made an ellipse. Now the further these foci are, the more elliptical it's going to be. The closer they are, the more circular it's going to be, and that's called eccentricity. The further apart they are, the more eccentric they are. The closer they are, the closer to a circle, the less eccentric, and we'll get into that a little bit later on. Alright, some other important terms is something called major axis. The major axis is the part that goes through both of my foci, so be the axis that goes, in this case, this way. Alright, and the minor axis is the one that would go through the center and would go vertically. Okay, and then vertex. We have actually two vertices, because we don't just have one. It's going to be on the major axis, so like this would be one vertex, and over here would be the other vertex. It's going to lie right on that major axis. We go from point to point, and we'd go through this one right here. Alright, so this would be major axis, and then if we go vertically, let's just kind of draw it in there. We go vertically. I know you're all going to say, well, that's not a straight line you should have used. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. This would be my center. Major axis goes this way, minor axis goes this way. See, the equation that you get, there's actually two, just like in parabolas, depending on which way it opens. You got x minus h squared all over a squared, plus y minus k squared over b squared equals 1, or x minus h squared over b squared plus y minus k squared over a squared equals 1. This one's in the major axis is horizontal, this one's in the major axis is vertical. You really don't have to be too worried right now about which one is a or b, as long as you know, oh, my major axis is horizontal, this number should be larger than this number. So if I were to flip it, now it's a vertical axis, this number, this axis is longer than this one. So it's not going to be worried about it too much right now because of just how he is oriented. It's not going to be a big deal. Okay, good. Here's some things we need to know about. Major axis length is 2a. The minor axis length is 2b. That means from point to point, from vertex to vertex, from here to here is going to be 2a. So a just goes from the center out to that point, and b goes from the center up to this point. Okay? And the other thing we need to know is c squared equals a squared minus b squared. You say, wait a minute, that's not the Pythagorean theorem that I've learned many, many years. You're right. A is going to be part of the major axis, b is going to be the minor axis, and c helps you know where the focus is. So c tells you where's that focus going to be, and we're actually going to use that right now. Okay, so I didn't want to actually write all this down, so what I did was I'm just going to use our book, and we are going to go through this problem. Let's get it so you can actually see it. Okay, let's not worry about what this part says. Okay, so it says, find the standard form of the equation of the ellipse having foci at 0, 1, and 4, 1, and a major axis length of 6, as shown in this figure. Okay, so if you can see, there's our center, and actually there's our focus, foci, because there's two of them. That's all it really tells us. And it kind of gives us some other information. It says that from here to here is going to be 6. The center of our ellipse is going to be halfway between the foci. So if we say the first one's at 0, 1, the second one's at 4, 1, that distance is going to be 4, so halfway is 2. So our center point is 2, 1. Okay, so what I want to be able to do is, now I want the equation. I know it's going to be a horizontal axis, so I know it's going to be x minus h squared over a squared plus y minus k squared over b squared equals 1, right? Okay, so first we found our center at 2, 1. So what I can do is I can now do x minus the x value, 2, over, I don't know what a squared is, plus y minus the y value of the center is 1, all over b squared equals 1. Okay, so we read up here that the major axis has a length of 6, right? So from this point to this point is 6, so that means the a is going to be half of 6, which is 3. Okay, so that means I'm going to put the 3 down here, and I'm going to just put 3 squared for now so you don't forget that it's squared. Alright, next what we want to do is we want to find b. So if I just say, oh, it's from 1 to, it looks like about 1, it's actually not, it's a little bit longer. So what we want to do is now we're going to find c, and then we can plug it into that formula that looks like Pythagorean theorem to find out what b is. Alright, so if we say c is the distance from the center to the focus. So how far is it from the center to the focus? It is 2. So c is going to be 2. So we can say c squared equals a squared minus b squared. Okay, so we can say 4 equals 9 minus b squared. Okay, so I take, and we could also rewrite this as b squared plus 4 equals 9. Subtract 4, and you get b squared equals 5. Now I could find out what b is, the square root of 5. There you go. But when we plug it back into our equation, I want to know what b squared is, because that's what the part of the formula is. So I really don't need to figure out what b is for now, because it's already graphed, so I don't need to count that number. So we can just say this is over 5. So my whole equation would be x minus 2 squared over 9 plus y minus 1 squared over 5 equals 1. And if we look back, that's the equation that they gave us. Alright, so there is example number 1. Let's do another example. Let's do example 2. It says, sketch the graph of the ellipse whose equation is that whole thing. Okay, so is this in the form that we wanted in? No. Could it be? Yes, so what we're going to do is we're going to group all of our x's. We're going to put them together. So we get x squared plus 6x. And then I'm going to use a different marker, and we're going to say that. And I'm going to say 4y squared minus 8y. 4y squared minus 8y. I could say plus because it is positive. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get that number on the other side, that plus 9. I'm going to subtract it and just have it be minus 9. Does it really matter too much? No, but let's just get it over here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to complete the square. So we go here, we say x squared plus 6x. What number do I need to add in to make sure that this is a square? Well, I take 6 divided by 2, which is 3. And 3 squared is going to be 9. So I have x squared plus 6x plus 9. There's my first one. Do I have to put it in parentheses? Not really. Okay, good. So the next one that we have is I've got a 4y, and I know that my equations are when it's equal to just y. So I can't have a number out in front. I can't have a 4y. I just need a 1y. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to factor out a 4. So I've got a 4, parentheses, y squared minus 2y. Okay, so I take 2y and I divide it by 2 and I get negative 1. Negative 1 squared is positive 1. And I put it inside the parentheses. Okay, good. Then what we'll have is that whole thing, still plus, equals, I've got the negative 9 here. I added 9 on this side, and there's only 9 because I don't have anything else in front. So I'm going to add 9 from the x part. Alright, and then from the y part, I added 1. But I didn't just add 1. I added 1 inside the parentheses. So really I added 4. 4 and 1. So I'm going to add 4. These guys cancel out, and we're left with just 4 on this side. Okay, and then what I can do is I can factor the x part. Now I wrote this 3 down because it's always nice when you're completing the square. Whatever you divide by, that's what's going to be inside the parentheses. So it's going to be, and let's just put it up here, x plus 3 squared plus, I still have that 4 out in front, so we've got 4 parentheses y minus 1 squared. Remember, it's minus 1 because I divided this by 2, and it's a negative 2, positive 1, negative 1 goes here. Okay, and that's going to equal 4. And you say, okay, we're done, right? Well, not quite, because if you remember back to our equations, we'll look at this and say, what do I have? I need to have divided by a divided by b, and it's got to equal 1, so we're not actually done yet. So what do we have to do? Divide by 4, divide this by 4, and divide this by 4. Alright, once we divide it by 4, then we're going to be okay. So we have x plus 3 squared over 4 plus. These 4's are going to cancel out and you'll be left with just 1. So it'll be y minus 1 squared over 1, and it's going to equal 1. Okay, so if we wanted to graph this, which I think is what I said we had to do, and we'll do that in a second. First, we want to know where is the center. We want to know where are the foci. And is it going to be a graph like this, or is it going to be a graph like this? Is it going to be a vertical, or is it going to be a horizontal? There we go. Okay, so the center we know is going to be at -3 for x and +1 for y. Okay, so next we want to know where are the foci. The foci, remember, is c squared equals a squared minus b squared. I know what a is, and also I know a is the larger one, so it's going to be, this one is a, this one is b. Since I know x is the first one and this number is larger, I know it's going to be a horizontal type of ellipse. So I can say c squared equals a squared is 4, b squared is 1, so c squared equals 3, so c is going to equal the square root of 3. Eek. Not great to find the foci, but we really don't need to find it if you're graphing it. Okay, so they are square root of 3 away from the center, and it's going horizontally, so we're going to change this one, so the foci are going to be to the left of this and to the right of it. So it'd be -3 plus the square root of 3, comma 1, and it'd be -3 minus the square root of 3, comma 1. Okay, those would be our foci. Notice how it's whatever c is, plus and minus on the opposite sides of the center. Okay, so if we go and graph this, let's go ahead and do that. We know our center. Let's see, maybe I can move this over here. Oh, we're just going to cover it all up. Maybe we can just move it over a little bit. There we go. Good enough. Okay, so if you remember, our center is at -3, 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plot my point at -3. Let's not make it that big. -3, so I go 1, 2, 3, up 1. There is my center. Okay, and then I know in the horizontal, it's a squared is 4, which means a, we can write it probably right here, a is going to be 2. Remember, a is only from the center out, so it means I'm going to go 2 to the right, 1, 2, and I'm going to go 2 to the left, 1, 2. Okay, so there is that part. And then I know that b is going to be the square root of 1, which is 1, which means from the center I'm going to go up 1 and down 1, which would be here. Okay, really great stuff on my clicking ability right there. And then we just have to try and make your ellipse the best you can. And what I could do is, because I have it, I can just make an ellipse, and I could probably make it a little bit better than I actually graphed. So I can go right to here. And did I do that right? I don't think so. But you get the idea. Alright, so once you know what A, B, and C are, it really helps. Do we even need to really find C when you're graphing it? No, you need to know what A is, square root of 4. You know what B is, square root of 1. You know which orientation it is. And then all you have to do is just count from the center. Okay? Really, really easy. There you go. And here is your assignment. Find the center. Oh, and you probably can't quite see that. Okay, let's move it back over this way so you can. There it is. Find the center, vertices, and foci of this ellipse. 4x squared plus y squared minus 8x plus 4y minus 8 equals 0. I would say add 8 over here first, and then get the x's together, and then get the y's together. Factor anything out you can, so that way they are just y squared or x squared. Complete the square. If you don't remember how to complete the square, you can always go back and watch that video on completing the square. Good luck.